Was geht ab, meine Freunde, und willkommen zu einer Bonusfolge von ASA Scorched. Ich bin's, der Gamerjäger, und ich sage mal, wir legen wieder mal los. Und das hier neben mir ist mein Partner Finn. Und zusammen sind wir The Warriors of ARK. Ich habe beschlossen, nach der finalen Folge noch eine Bonusfolge zu machen. Und zwar Bobs Große Geschichte, Teil 1. Okay, schauen wir das mal an. Einige werden schon einige Szenen kennen, aber ich habe beschlossen, alle abzuspielen. Okay. Ab jetzt Funkstille.
You know, kid, sooner or later, you're gonna have to talk about it. What are you drawing over there, anyway? Hey, that's not bad. And this is you over here, with this dum-dum?
Don't be mean to Honker! No, I don't want to talk about him.
He's your dad, Mika. Now, I may not know a lot, and I made plenty of my own mistakes back in my day, but I do know one thing. Families gotta stick together.
Well, why don't you go tell him not to be such a stinky dino poo?
That's just not how it works, Mika. Look, maybe old Uncle Bob here can shed some light on the situation, about why the big man thinks the way he does.
Wait, you knew my dad before all this? So, were you also on the... what did he call them? The ARKs?
Yeah, those. Say, have I ever told you the story about how your dad and I saved everyone together?
You were there? You were one of the heroes?
Well, yeah, sure. In fact, you might say that I was the most important part of the whole story.
Okay.
Go ask Santiago yourself if you don't believe
No!
it.
I want you to tell me, Uncle Bob.
All right, then. Let's start at the very beginning. On a faraway tropical island surrounded by sparkling blue water. That island was the first time I ever saw big, dumb lizards like Honker here. And it was the first place I ran into her. So there I was, whizzing through the sky, when this sparkly lady flies right up alongside me, and she tells me,
Bob, you're the greatest guy ever. You have to stay alive so you can save everyone.
How are you supposed to save a whole world all by yourself?
well, now, I did have a little help from my friends. Little Miss Professor here, and the doc there. But maybe that's a story for another time. I mean, you gotta have some chores to get back to, right?
I already did them, I swear!
Great. Guess I'll just, keep retelling these true tales about Bob's amazing adventures.
Yeah! So, after that island, where did you go next? Oh, I bet it was somewhere exciting!
Before we keep going, I was thinking maybe you want to let your dad know where you ran off to?
I don't want to think about him at all. I want to hear more stories. Uncle Bob.
Okay. How about a story with spurs and six shoes and all that?
Yeah, that sounds wild.
Darling, you don't know the half of it, but whatever the danger, Bob still managed to show the wild and woolly wastelands who was boss.
Whoa, now we're talking.
Place was hotter than heck, and all that dang dust had a way of working its way up your, nose. Point is, I was gonna have to get lean and mean if I was fixing to tame anything in that forsaken desert. Where was I? Oh yeah, suddenly I found myself smack in the middle of this scorching hot desert. No time to worry over how I ended up there or why. All I knew was I had to run for cover.
Wasn't it too hot to be running around?
Am I telling the story, or are you?
Sorry, keep going.
Anyway, yeah, it was too hot to run around like that, and I burnt myself out quick. I knew I was a goner, unless I could scrounge up something to drink, and pronto. before you judge me on this next part, you gotta understand it was a life or death situation. Because when I thought I saw a big whiskey jug sloshing around on 6 legs, I sort of lost what was left of my pride. And well, there's no good way to say this. Took a drink from it.
Ew, gross!
Made that jug bug jump a mile. Not that I blame it. Who'd have guessed something that big could even fly anyway? At least I knew where to find water now. After I had my fill of drinking from bug behinds, I decided to try for one of the camel lizards I saw waddling around that sand pit. It was probably an easier way to break the dumb beast than smacking him upside the head and force-feeding him. But that's what worked for me back on the island. Anyways, I guess I finally hit one in its noggin enough time for it to think we were pals.
Aww.
Reckon I'll spare you knowing how I figured out a way of drinking from those smelly humps.
Ugh, nasty!
Without warning, a sandstorm kicked up. I'm talking howling wind. Lightning had me going in circles, trying like heck to find a place to hide. Thought I was done for when Humpty dropped dead on me. Until I spotted a cave that looked like the promised land.
Poor Humpty.
I tripped over a bunch of eggs lying around inside and thought I'd hit the jackpot. And that's when Mama, an honest-to-gosh dragon, turned up.
Oh no!
She was none too happy about me scrambling up her babies.
Bet you barely got out of that one without becoming her breakfast. No scrambled Bob on the menu that day.
Right about when I'd almost given up hope, I spotted little Miss Professor again. Somehow she'd wound up in that dust patch with me, which probably meant that the doc was around someplace too.
Bet she was glad to see you.
Of course, yeah. But now I had someone else to look after, which can be, exhausting. But before I could come up with a plan to save us, this crazy desert witch showed up with a dragon. That dragon witch sure seemed glad I came along when I did. Turned out her town needed a new sheriff, on account of the giant bugs that kept attacking the place.
What's a sheriff?
Someone who'd protect regular townsfolk, whether it was from rustlers, bandits, or, in this case, bug monsters. I didn't have much of a choice, so I let the witch pin a star on me and set me up with a trusty 6-shooter. Now that I was the law in that forsaken outpost, I could see I was gonna have to do a bit of pest control. So I called out the biggest bug and told them they best skedaddle before sundown, lest I commenced to stepping on them. Now that I had the whole gang's attention, I backed up a few paces and told the gang leader to slap leather.
To do what?
The figure of speech, darling, means we're about to have us a good old-fashioned shootout. The big bug bandit reached for his pistol, but I had the quicker draw. A couple of his compadres tried to take revenge. Wasn't much of a fair fight. None of them so much as got a bead on me before I dropped all 4 of them in the dust with their pal. The rest of them scampered off. So I yelled to the ladies that it was safe to come out. And that's when old Doc Rockwell showed up again. After I stopped the bugs from ransacking that whistle stop, I guess I thought maybe I'd found a place worth building up into something. That's when the witch piped up to tell us why it wasn't worth getting attached to no place there.
Oh no, why?
Said she and her friends had a regular boom town going across the desert that got blown to heck by something in the sky. She offered to fly us to see the ruins for ourselves. Not sure why I let the professor and the doc talk me into that. After seeing them ruins up close for myself, we decided it probably was time for us to mosey along. We were saying our goodbyes when that thing dropped in. The witch called it a manticore, or maybe a manticlops. Anyway, whatever you want to call it. It caused a real ruckus. I like to think we made it sorry for messing with us. But I must have been knocked upside the head during our tussle, because I don't remember the next part so good. Somehow, I was tumbling through the sky again, heading elsewhere in a hurry. So, that's how I went from squeezing water from a cactus to fighting a Mandy What's-It in a ghost town.
Wicked.
Just goes to show, you gotta stay ready for the unexpected. And you always need to stick by the folks who have your back.
Didn't you say you tamed the wastes all by your lonesome?
Well, I had some help.
Oh, yeah. You still haven't told me where you met, you know, him.
Oh, wouldn't you rather hear that story from the big guy himself?
No way! Unlike you, he's got no sense of humor.
You just sit tight while your Uncle Bob thinks about how to tell this next part without giving nightmares.
But I like scary stories.
Hey, now, I was talking about it giving me nightmares. See, this is the point in our story where things get dark. Real dark.
Awesome.
Tja, das war's mit unserer... Oh, wo ist denn Finn hin? Okay. Ja, das war's mit unserer Spezialfolge von ASA Scorched Earth. Bobs große Geschichte. Ah, da bist du ja. Und... Ja, Finn. Habe ich irgendwas verfehlt oder habe ich eh alles vom Bob erzählen lassen?
Also ich glaube, das erste, wo der Boss besiegt wurde, hast du vergessen erzählen zu lassen.
Das erste?
Nur bei Manticore, beim Aufseher hast du es, glaube ich, nicht gemacht.
Na, das war das mit der glitzernden Frau.
Ja, und das hast du nicht gemacht.
Doch, das habe ich gemacht.
Ach so, okay,
Ja.
dann habe ich mich verguckt. Okay,
Na gut.
also sonst hast du alles gemacht.
Na gut, dann war's das heute mit der Bonusfolge von ASA Scorched Earth. Wie gesagt, in meiner letzten Folge habe ich erwähnt, dass ich das Center besuchen werde und Operation. Also werden wir uns dort wiedersehen. Wir sehen uns dort wieder und tschüss.